I am excited today. This is a beautiful day. It is always a wonderful day to be black and intelligent and to build our economics. Can I get an amen? Do you agree with me? I hope you agree. Hello. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm really excited. I'm very excited. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Every day when we do financial consciousness training, I meditate and I wait for God to send me the message that I want to share that day. And I'm very spiritual. I'm not so much religious, but I'm very spiritual, and that spirituality guides me in the sense that my wife also is into metaphysics and the subconscious mind, and I'm a big believer that if you obsess about something, if you are committed to something, if you're repetitive and just sort of almost maniacally connected to something, you're going to eventually gain insights into it. I almost think of it like the connection between a mother and a child. Most good mothers are fanatical about their children. I don't know. Give me a yes if you agree, ladies. When it comes to your kids, you don't play with your when it comes to your children, you're thinking about them all the time. You know everything about them, you're just connected to them, and it becomes almost to the point where it transcends just logic and information. It goes into this almost like magical spiritual place where your child consciousness is just on level 10. Like something happens to your kid and you feel it in your body and you don't even know why you felt it or how you just know, right? So in a way I'm kind of connected. I don't know if I'd say that I can emulate the connection between a mother and child, but I'm always thinking about like black economics like that every single day. I'm always sort of I have kind of a grudge over this idea that people believe that black people just can't do anything right or that we're supposed to be in second place. I hate that. It absolutely drives me crazy. I don't think that's who we're supposed to be. I don't think we're supposed to get our butts kicked. I don't think we're supposed to be oppressed. I don't think we're supposed to be sitting behind somebody. I certainly am not built for begging. I'm not built to be a beggar. I don't know if anybody else, if you agree, let me know. But I'm I'm not built to beg. I'm not built to get on my knees. I'm not built to be your secondary. I'm not built to do any of that. I believe we have everything that we need to be great. So anyway, so one of anyway, I want to start today off with some information that may be helpful on a practical level, especially those of you that either are have children that are going to college, or maybe you're going thinking about going back to school, or you have grandkids that are going to go to college and you want to share this information. It was something I ran across in the media, and then what I'm going to do is circle that down to something that I think is actually a pretty profound and powerful solution that, if you apply it in the right way, I guarantee you it's going to make a magical and an amazing difference in economic outcomes for your family, for the next 100, 200 years. And actually, it's really me sort of after sitting there, my wife and I went out of town, and I was sitting there with her at breakfast, and I drank my coffee, and we were just thinking about stuff and talking about stuff, and with her being a therapist, every conversation, imagine just two professors just going back and forth about stuff. We're always sort of exploring ideas and thinking about things, right? Because as a therapist, she's able to go deep into the psychology of why we do what we do. Why does a man beat up his wife? Why does a woman divorce her husband? Why does a kid get depressed? Why does a person make bad choices? And or how does a person end up homeless and on drugs and whatever? So some of this came to me after that conversation. So anyway, I'm going to first off, let me know. Can you guys hear me? Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, give me a quick yes if you can hear me. I want to make sure everybody can hear all right. And okay, I see Agnes and Gwen, Dorothea, Kevin Nibbs. I see you in here. Who else? Let's see, Dorothy Van Buren and Gina Mills, Ali Ochia, Carolyn Thomas. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning to Tony Scott and Josephine Rainwater. Good morning to everybody. All right, and so anyway, let's jump in. And by the way, don't forget that we do financial consciousness training every single day, 7 days a week. 10 a.m. Eastern. The live sessions are free. The live sessions are free. If you want to get all the recordings, I think we've done about 100 of these lectures now. We've done 100 of these trainings, and if you want to get them all and you want to share them with your family, if you feel like this is profound and helpful to you, then I can share a link with you guys a little bit later where you can pass it on to whoever you think can benefit from this. I can guarantee you that if you give your kids, say, $20 to watch them all, or so, or $50 or whatever, it'll be the best investment you ever made. Because that's what I believe. I believe that when it comes to educating people that may or may not know the value of what you're teaching them, Sometimes you gotta put a little sugar in the vegetables. You gotta, sweeten it up a little bit. And so I believe deeply in paying kids to do things that are going to benefit them long term. So if I go to my 12-year-old that doesn't want to learn economics, that doesn't understand why powernomics is important, that doesn't understand why when he's 35 years old he's going to be having night sweats and worried about money, then what I do is I say, hey, I'll give you $20 if you read this book, or I'll buy you a new pair of Jordans if you finish these lessons, or something like that, right? I did that with my kids when they were teenagers, and my adopted kids, so-called adopted. They weren't legally adopted, but they're mine. And I remember I remember literally compensating them, because I was like, well, in life, think about it. In life, you get compensated to do stuff, right? You don't. Most of us that go to work, yes or no? Would you go to work if you weren't getting paid? Those of us that have had jobs, let's think about a time when you had either have or had what might be considered to be a regular job, or a job that you wouldn't do if you were doing it for free. Give me a yes if you understand where I'm coming from. That if they didn't pay you, would you come to work? Would you do that job every day? No, most people would not be at work if they weren't being paid, right? So for kids, I believe that learning about this stuff, learning about the stuff that you and I didn't understand was important until we were like 40 years old, learning this stuff is like a job. It's like, why would I want to learn this when I can go eat candy and play basketball? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't if I got a choice between going to football practice and having fun playing football, or sitting down and reading Powernomics when I'm 12. Hell no, I'm not doing that. But you give me a little reward. Now we talking, right? You give me $20. I'm broke. I'm a broke 12-year-old. $20 is like $1 billion to me. So you give me $20 and I'll read the whole book back and forth. And then on top of that, check this out. What you're doing is you're developing a psychological connection where the reward center of their brain is attached to, say, Powernomics. Let's say you said, every time you you read a chapter in the Dr. Claude Anderson book, I'll give you $20. Well, they're going to attach the reward. Let me know if you get this. They're going to attach the reward of getting the money to reading the book. So that's going to make them want to do it more. Do you understand? Things that have a reward or a pleasure reward attached to them tend to be things that we want to do more. You know what I'm talking about. If we think about when maybe the first time you went into the bedroom and had a special experience, if you know what I mean, right? We attach those reward centers. There's something. It relates to research. Anybody remember Pavlov's dog? Give me a yes if you've heard of Pavlov's dog. Pavlov's dog. I'll tell you about it for those that don't know. Pavlov's dog was this dog that they trained to salivate whenever they rang a bell. Because what they would do is they would ring the bell and give him food. And every time the bell rang, he knew the food was coming, like any dog, right? So he'd hear the bell and he starts salivating, like, I'm about to get some now, and so the food would come. And then what they did was they stopped giving him the food, and then but they would ring the bell without the food. And what they noticed was that he would salivate when he heard the bell, even if there was no food attached. That he formed a connection between the sound of the bell and the anticipation of the reward. That's which to me is very powerful, in the sense that, so if you can attach positive rewards to doing things that might not otherwise be enjoyable for the child, like, again, like reading Dr. Claude Anderson books when you're 12, or learning about budgeting and finance and stock market investing, things that they have yet to understand the value of, that might hold them over until they get to the point where they understand the value directly, because they will eventually know the value. See, they will eventually understand why economics is important. They're gonna know this, right? They're gonna know it because one day they're gonna be 35, 40 years old, and they're gonna have kids, and they're gonna be trying to pay bills, and then they're gonna know how important money is. Well, what other connection will they have? Well, if they're in a bad position, they're gonna say, gosh, if I don't go to work, I won't eat today. If I don't go to work, I won't get money that I need to do what I need to do. If I don't go to work, I'm going to experience extreme pain, the extreme pain of financial insecurity, homelessness, broke acidness, if you want to call it that. I'm going to experience these things. So to avoid these things, they're going to go to work every day. And I think that there is a big difference between doing something because you desire a better experience, or a better life, or a better feeling, versus doing something because you're trying to avoid the pain of the bad feeling. And that's what I think a lot of us do. I think that what drives a lot of us, especially when you don't prepare, especially when you don't think ahead, is when you don't have investor vision. um, what drives a lot of people is pain avoidance. Like, think about it. Do you know that some of the most disciplined guys I know are guys who spent a long time in prison? And again, incarceration affected so many of our families. It took trillions of dollars out of the black community. Um, so I'm very sensitive to incarceration. It's happened in my family way too. My father went to prison. My uncle, who was my role model, he was like my older brother. I remember when he went to prison, and it broke him psychologically so bad that he was just mentally gone. And it was very tough. It's very tough when the person, your number one person on earth, the person you look up to, the person you follow around, your mentor is just broken down to the point where he's such a broken little boy that you have to become the man. And I'm only 9 years old, 10 years old, trying to figure out how to become the man when he's 8 years older than me, and I'm looking to him for advice, and I find out that that's not good information. That's not, I can't follow him anymore. Do you understand? So me and him transitioned from mentee. I've transitioned from mentee to being the leader of our relationship when I was about 11 or 12 years old. It was really hard to do. And so that's what prison does to black families, in case you don't know. But anyway, but some of the most disciplined guys are guys who spent a lot of time in prison. And you think about it, right? Some of them, not everybody, but some guys were knuckleheads before they went to jail. Couldn't tell them nothing, couldn't control them for nothing, and whatever, right? So how do you go from being a a wild knucklehead to being super disciplined, and in prison you're walking in line, and you don't misstep, you don't speak out of turn, you do exactly what you're supposed, you do your chores when you're supposed to. Well, a lot of that is due to pain avoidance. What happens is that because they're in that situation, they pretty much say, look, we don't care about you. I don't love you like your mama does. If you get out of line, I'm gonna put this bat upside your head, or I'm going to electrocute you, or you might get shot, or whatever. So if you don't follow instructions, there's going to be lots of pain, right? And so when that happens, a lot of people, that's when they become disciplined. They become disciplined when it gets to the point where they're avoiding pain, by they're being disciplined to avoid pain, as opposed to being disciplined to experience something that they desire, to get something good. And so, what I really want for your kids, and I'm going to get to a little bit more to the topic in a second, but what I really want for your kids is I want them to be able to not have to simply wait until it's too late, to the point where they're getting up and going to work every day and working hard just to avoid the pain of not having enough money. Do you understand? There's so many people who work hard every day because they are scared, and they are traumatized by the fear of not having enough, right? I don't want you to experience that. I want you to work hard because you are excited about all the possibilities that come with financial freedom and possibility in your life. I want your children to get that while they're young, so they're not 45 years old trying to play catch up. Do you understand? Right? So this is one of the reasons why I think that one bridge builder might be to simply pay them to do the stuff that they're supposed to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with paying kids to learn. A Harvard professor, Professor Roland Fryer, who I respect, he's interesting. His story is really fascinating. Harvard really did him just so dirty, but then again, though, that's what happens when you kind of become committed to these institutions. So in that regard, I kind of think it's like a funny story. But he's a great economist, and one thing that he found in the study was that when you pay kids to learn, guess what? They want to learn more, because they're connecting the reward of money with knowledge. I think that that's fine. So anyway, let me jump into what I wanted to share with you. So what I did was I saw this list of colleges that have the graduates with the highest pay, and I'm going to read that list to you, and then I'm going to also tell you which majors pay the most money, in case this is of interest to you. And then I'm going to give you a little secret. I'm going to tell you about a major that pays 10 times more than all these majors in here. And I think that, and this is what's going to really be the kicker for our conversation. So let me mention to you, this is the list of the schools that pay the most money. You ready? All right. So MIT pay the average make a graduate makes 91,000. Stanford $90,900. Harvey Mudd College, who knew? $85,600. Princeton 83.9. University of Pennsylvania 78.2. Harvard 81.5. Caltech 74.8. Carnegie Mellon 89. The Naval Academy 82.9. Santa Clara University 76.9. Okay. Now, um, now here are the majors that pay the most money. In case you want to know, in case you want to tell your kids, a lot of you have kids and grandkids going to college. Okay. Petroleum engineering. Let's see, electrical engineering and computer science, applied economics and management, Operations research is number four. Operations research that specialists in this field use advanced mathematical and analytical methods to solve decision-making problems, leading to high compensation. Next, number five is public accounting. Number six is chemical engineering. Number seven is quantitative business analysis. Number eight is pharmacy. Number nine is aeronautics and astronautics. Wow, focusing on the design and development of aircraft and spacecraft. This major appeals to those interested in aviation and space exploration. Okay. All right. So, and this came from College Mind Degree Choices and Kiplinger.com. Okay. So there we go. So we have the top colleges that pay the most money and the top majors to pick if you want to make money. And this really is the nuance of my position on college. You guys have heard me talk about college before, and if you've listened to that conversation, you'll know that I'm not anti-college at all. I think college is a great experience, but I am concerned about the number of people that go to college and don't pick a major that is going to give them an adequate livelihood. A lot of people go to college and it's a 4 year party with step shows and everything else. And next thing you know, they have a big pile of debt and nothing in their resume that makes an employer want to even consider hiring them. There's nothing about going to college for 4 years that will make an employer, and I am an employer, I employ lots of people, that will make an employer want to hire you. You have to have skill. You have to have some sort of ability that helps to solve an important problem that will help the employer to achieve their goal, right? And so that piece of paper only means as much as it actually means. And so for some people, they don't know because they're first generation. That piece of paper means absolutely nothing. If I know that all you did was go to college and major in something worthless and spend 4 years going to step shows, which is why college attendance has been one of the great wealth drainers of the black community because college is very expensive. Half of all black college graduates default on their student loans. When they default on their student loans, that means they have bad credit. If you have bad credit, that means it's much harder for you to do the things that actually build wealth, like buy real estate, start businesses, invest in stocks, things like that. And so on top of that, their incomes and salaries are much lower than what they anticipated them to be, and because the economy is to some extent somewhat rigged if you don't understand how it works. Okay, but because again, as an economic scientist, I hope to share some things with you that will help you to deal with this. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you. I read that list to you, and there's a part of me that if you had talked to me at the age of 30, I would have read this list very enthusiastically. At the age of 30, I was working on a book called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About College. The book is out there. I wanted to take everything I'd learned from teaching college students for all those years and just blast it onto a bunch of pages and say, hey, look, here's the secrets. Here's what you need to know. I sat there with one of my daughter's friends and talked to her about college. And I said, look, here's how you make straight A's. It's not hard. All you got to do is make sure you study 4 hours a day. If you go to work, you're going to work 8 or 9 hours a day. So go to a quiet, well lit location, sit there for 4 or 5 hours a day, just like it's a job, and you're going to blow away all your classmates. I said, number two, don't procrastinate. Most college students will make it easy for you to destroy them grade wise because a big chunk of them are going to wait until the last minute. They're going to try to learn a month's worth of stuff in 3 days, which never works. They're going to be drinking all this all the caffeine and taking the no dose and the Ritalin and all this stuff, and then they're going to come in stressed out, eyes big, scared to death, sweating and everything else because they've been sleep deprived, and then they're still going to get a C on the test. So I was like, why work that hard to get a C when you can get an A by simply starting a little bit sooner than everybody else? I said preparation is the key to success. You can't learn a month's worth of stuff in 3 days. That's silly. I said number three, go see your professors once a week. If you go talk to the professor and they get to know you as a human being instead of a number on a page, then they're going to have a bias toward you. Bias is very real. Bias just exists, right? So if they know you as a human being and not just a number on a sheet, then they're more likely to say they'll look at their grades and when they're given the final grade, they'll say, "Oh, I know this person. This person shows up and and comes to see me once a week." So they're gonna if your grade is teetering between an A and a B, they're gonna give you an A a lot of times because they know you. And then also when you need a letter of recommendation, they're gonna write it from a personal perspective as opposed to just somebody who made a good grade in my class. And that's relationship relationship building, which is really a great lesson for life. Because anybody who knows anything about business, tell me if you know this, tell me if you agree. People that know business, that really know business at a high level, will tell you everything's about relationships. If people know you and like you and trust you and they're friends with you, they'll do stuff for you that they would never do for a stranger that's 20 times more qualified. Because people that deal with big money and stuff like that, trust is huge. They have so many people that they can't trust strangers, but if they know you, they start to trust you. And next thing you know, you got the business deal, and people are like, he only got it because he's friends with some. Yeah, that's because people, they can't trust new people. They don't know you. You're just on a piece of paper. But if I know you as a human being, that's a different kind of relationship. So relationships are everything. What else did I tell her? I said, oh, and when you come to class, sit in the front row, and then because you read all the chapters in advance, you can answer all the questions, and then the teacher will think you're smart. You could be dumb as a brick, but they're going to think you smart. You're smart. Why? Well, because nobody else did the reading. The teacher will say, everybody read chapter 5 by tomorrow. Don't nobody read chapter 5 by tomorrow. 80%, 80% of the students are not going to read chapter 5 by tomorrow, because college students, unfortunately, can be very lazy. This is the first experience they've ever had where they had to discipline themselves. Some of them have zero self discipline. So the kids who did read the chapter in advance and can answer the questions, which literally I'm going to explain this to everyone. Everyone in the room is going to know this concept in 5 minutes. But because you learned it 5 minutes earlier, or you knew it 5 minutes earlier, and you answered the question when I asked it, that's going to make me say, oh, you must be the smart one. So when I identify you as the smart one, then I'm going to start treating you like the smart one, which means I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So just little things like that go a long way. And so once I figured out the formula, I think the best thing that happened to me in college was that I never made good grades before. I didn't know how to be a student. I didn't know how to study. The best thing that helped me in college was that I knew how to work hard and I knew how to prepare. I knew what hard work looked like. I knew what preparation looked like. I knew what consistency looked like. So I took hard work, preparation, and consistency and just said, okay, let me try on this college thing and see if it works. Because I really learned it from sports, and I learned it from working at Taco Bell, and I learned it from my father. And that allowed me. And so what happened was the other black students were like, here, I was here. I had the highest grade point average of all the black students on the entire campus for the entire 4 years I was there. There was nobody who was ever even close to me. I was clearly the number. I was the Shaquille O'Neal, the Michael Jordan of all the students on the campus. And it wasn't because I was smarter than everyone. It was just because I prepared and I just did things that seemed to me to be common sense. But I'd also actually, in hindsight, I'd just grown up a little faster because I'd had some tougher experiences that let me know that life ain't playing with you. That you can't go out here acting a damn fool, throwing away your opportunities, being lazy, being ignorant, and being a day late and a dollar short, and expect that the world is not going to kick you in your whole entire ass. Excuse my French. Seriously, that's how I saw life. Was like, if I'm not ready as a black man, I'm gonna get destroyed. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for me. Nobody's gonna come save me. The white man don't care nothing about me. So I had no illusions about any of this. So so having that mindset really gave me a lot of strength, right? And which is very much in contrast to the fact that I believe that they treat black people almost like we're disabled children, and you expect you're waiting. It's like you're sitting on the sideline waiting for the bus to arrive, and the bus don't come. So you sitting out there hot, sweating, tired, waiting with your little bus ticket, and all this hope in the world. You got all the hope in the world, and then the bus never arrives. Well, I'm not waiting for the damn bus. I'm gonna start walking. That's the kind of kid I was, right? So long story short, this was my college experience. And so I think anything like that can be conquered if you go back to the basics, if you go back to common sense. Anything in America for black people, in my opinion, can be conquered if we go back to these basic ideas of understanding that don't nobody really care about you and your family except you. If you don't care about your situation, nobody else will. If you don't fix it, no one will. The hero is not coming. The saviors are not coming. I just really believe that, and I hope I don't sound too cynical. I hope I'm not hurting anybody's feelings. I'm sure some people are going to be uncomfortable with me saying this, but I really truly believe that we are the heroes that we're waiting for. If we don't show up, then nobody will. If we never show up, no one will ever show up. And then if you don't show up for your kids, ain't nobody showing up for your kids. Even black people, there are even millions of black people who don't care about other black people's kids. So if even black people, let's think about it. Look on the internet. Look at how many men say, "I ain't taking care of no kids that ain't mine. Those little raggedy kids. Why am I going to date a single mom with those kids ain't mine? I didn't make those." Even black people don't care about other black people's kids. So if black people don't care about other black people's kids, what makes you think white people are going to care about your kids? And I know that this, when I talk like this, it scares people and makes them sad, and they get mad. Show me where I'm wrong. Show me where I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. If I am wrong, prove me wrong. And you can't. You can't. So here's what I'm about to share with you. I mentioned to you this list of all the universities that where the graduates make the most money. I mentioned all the majors where the salaries are the highest. Um, I want to let you all know a little secret about that list. As I'm reading this list, again, the 30-year-old me would have read that list to you and been very enthusiastic. The 52-year-old version of me is reading this list and saying, wow, this is really a pack of bullshit. This list is garbage. It doesn't mean a whole lot relative to what's really out here in this world and how things really work. And I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm saying that in the 20 years since I got my PhD, I have understood things that I did not understand 20 years ago. And so I'm going to tell you the major that I believe every black child should have in college that will pay them 10 times more. If they master it, it will pay them 10 times more than any of the majors that I just listed. And that major is Black economics. Black economics. If your child, grandchild majors in Black economics, and this is not a major that's going to be given at a white university, it's not a major that's going to be given at an HBCU. It is a custom design major that you design yourself. If you major in Black economics, then you will win. Why is that important? Why do I say major in Black economics? What does that mean? It means that I'm going to understand economics from a Black perspective. I'm going to understand all the challenges, opportunities, limitations, and possibilities that exist for me specifically as a Black man or Black woman in America. I'm going to really understand that. I'm going to understand all of the cultural dynamics that shape the Black economic realities in America. I can't approach uh, this issue as if I'm white because I'm not white. White people can't say, hey, I've got 5 cousins that all went to prison. Most white people can't say, I know somebody whose mama put the light bill in their name when they were 3 and it ruined their credit. Most white people can't say, it was just me and my moms the whole time. You know, the stories the athletes give when they're about to get drafted. It was just me and my moms, and it was hard, and we couldn't eat, and it was real tough. And now I'm gonna buy my mama. But that story, that you don't hear a lot of white athletes telling that story. They'll be sitting there with their mom and their dad because they're not in a situation where 76% of their children are growing up without a father inside the house. You're not you. What I'm saying is that Black economics means that I understand fully that in this world, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. If I get the same credentials as the white guy and I apply for the same job as him, my odds of getting that job are going to be lower than his odds of getting that job. And a lot of it obviously is connected to old school racism, but then some of it is connected to just simple human biases. Human beings relate to people that are like themselves. I've never been under the illusion that a white guy would look at me and look at another white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes like him and see us as the same. That to me is a fantasy world. That's a type of social engineering that I do not believe exists. Because I'm gonna tell you the honest to God truth. If I'm looking at a young Black man who I see as a young Boyce Watkins, and he's sitting next to a guy who's a little Mexican kid, I might love them both. I might help them both, but I'm gonna connect more with the young Boyce than I am with little Paco. No disrespect. I know I just made that name up. I hope that didn't sound ignorant when I said that. But seriously, I'm not gonna, and really, truth be told, most people believe that kids should have a place, a community, some space that it belongs to them. Like every time, when you have, think about it. Imagine if your child kept bringing their friend over for dinner every day, and their friend was eating up all the food and then sleeping on the couch and then constantly at your house. At some point, you would say, "Well, where's your family? Like, where do you live? Where's your mama at?" You stink today. Like, does he have a mama at home? Like, what's going on here? Right? And maybe you can take them in if you can, but you can only take in so many kids. You can't let them all come live with you. So you assume that they have some place to go. Who are your people? Where's your family at? And to some extent, economically speaking, that's kind of, I think, what people look at when they see black people is they say, well, who are your people? Where's your community? Where are the people that have your back? Where are the people? We got people that have our back, and we're going to fight on our. I'm Jewish, and I know that other Jewish people are going to have my back, and I've got Israel and all this other stuff. What do you have? Where's your who backs you up? And you say, well, nobody. I'm hoping that the Israelis will back me up just like they would Jewish kids, and they're going to be like, they're going to look at you like you crazy, like something's wrong with you. So here's what I think. So let's circle back. I believe that majoring in Black economics is not just the best way for a young Black person to protect themselves by understanding all the subtleties that come with being Black, all the ways that you have to look at economics differently if you're Black. Because remember, if you're Black and you start a business, you may not have the same support that you would have if you were white or if you were Asian. If you're Black and you start a family, it's going to be different from being white or Asian or Jewish and starting a family. They have thousands of years of traditions and culture to lean on. We don't have all that. That's one of the reasons that our families just crumble and fall apart. So ultimately, Black economics to me is understanding the integration between Black culture and what we're trying to achieve economically, and making sure you master that. It's almost like medication. They talk about AI. I saw something the other day where they were saying that AI is having a lot of breakthroughs in the bending of proteins and molecules or something, and looking at all the different structures to develop all these new drugs. And they're saying in the next few years, AI is going to be able to develop some really amazing drugs, they say, right, that will heal lots of stuff that was previously uncurable, which is also scary because there's gonna be a lot of illegal drugs created that will create, the worst kinds of zombies we can ever imagine, right? So just say no to that. But at the same time, though, when I thought about that, it makes me think about the fact that typically in medicine, when you're curing something or solving that health problem, the custom solutions are the best solutions. You can't solve everything with an aspirin. You can't um you can't you can't go in and treat every patient the same, right? You have to have something that's custom made. So I see Black economics as being a custom approach to solving your economic challenges as a Black person. But then on the flip side of that, once you get past the struggle, once you get past strugglenomics and survivornomics, then you start playing powernomics. Then you start to conquer. You start to realize, hey, being Black isn't so bad, because when I master that, when I really accept who I am and accept where I'm from and understand that, I realize after a while, wait, there are some unique advantages that we have that come from being Black that other people don't have. And that's important to understand too. There's always a flip side of that. It's just like with all investing, there's every situation, every yin has a yang. When the market goes down, it's scary, but it's also an opportunity. When the market goes up, it's exciting, but it's also scary. Everything has an opposite side to it. Every moon has a dark side, right? So effectively, this allows us to really understand who we are, where we're at, and what we're trying to do. So here's what I'm going to give you today, and I hope you will meditate on this, because if I'm going to say this, I believe this is probably one of the most important things I've ever said in my life. And I believe, I don't believe, I know for a fact, as an economic scientist, that if you internalize this, your economic problems will not just go away within less than a generation, but they will also lead to prosperity that can last for hundreds of years. So this is something you guys know. We have the $5 a day plan at blackwealthmasterplan.com. I've mentioned that several times. Let me know if you've seen that. If you haven't seen it, just go to blackwealthmasterplan.com. That's there. But what I did was I challenged myself to refine the master plan just a little bit, to make the instructions a little bit more specific, so that you can specifically know exactly what Black economic training looks like for Black children, so that our children are prepared to be adequate, successful adults. So here are the three rules I hope you'll consider. Okay. Number one, every Black child should learn how to start a business by the age of 12. That's just in case they can't get a job. The ability to start your own business as a Black person is incredibly important, because one of the leading causes for Black economic pain is the Black unemployment rate. Historically, in this country, Black people have not been able to get jobs at the same rate as white people. Give me a guess if you've ever seen this. They always, so you've heard these sayings. Have you ever heard this one? Whenever white folks catch a cold, black people catch what? You don't have to spell it. It starts with a P. It's pneumonia. I know it's hard to spell pneumonia early in the morning. I get it. So why is that? Why is it that whenever white folks catch a cold, we catch pneumonia? Well, that's because we're on the same systematic boat as white people. We walk into the same system that they're in and expect to get the same treatment when the reality is that you're all riding on the Titanic. We're all on the Titanic. America economically is the Titanic. It is sinking. It is going to sink in the next 100 years. We're on the Titanic, but they're on the top deck. We're on the bottom deck. So when the ship sinks, guess who drowns first? So what I'm saying to you is I believe that you should have a lifeboat. I'm saying that you should not go down with the damn Titanic and assume that that's all that there is. You don't have to be on the damn ship. You don't have to be on the Titanic with everybody else. So get a lifeboat. Being an entrepreneur is a lifeboat. It does not mean that you have to go and quit your job and run a business. It means that you're prepared to do what you got to do to bring money into the house and put food on the table. Because one thing I can confirm to you without a doubt in my soul is that America is full of money. You live in a country where there's money everywhere. Money is all over the place. And if it seems like money is rare, it's only because you haven't been taught to be economically conscious enough to know where it is. The money's flying right past you every day, and a lot of us are never trained to see it because we only see money and opportunity if it shows up in a job application. We only see an opportunity if it shows up in a paycheck. We only see opportunity, and I'm not talking about just uneducated folks. I'm talking about all of y'all out there with the master's degrees and the law degrees and the PhDs and the MDs and everything else. You're in this category too. Same to you. You sitting on LinkedIn, you lost your job, you're looking for an opportunity out there, and you're hoping that somebody will post something where you can go get a job with somebody. You can attach yourself to somebody else's Titanic. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. I'm not job shaming at all. I'm not doing that. Let's be clear on that. Give me a yes if we can be clear and understand that this is a nuanced argument where I'm not telling you that there's anything wrong with your kid growing up and getting a job or having a career. What I'm saying is that they should always have a plan B. I'm not saying I'm not saying stay off the Titanic. The music is good. The food is delicious. The ship may not be sinking for a while. What I'm saying is just have your little lifeboat so that when these folks start acting crazy, you can get up out of here. You've got somewhere to go. So that's the first thing. This is what I would call the Black Wealth Master Plan. I'm going to repeat this 10 million times. You all are just hearing it for the first time. Okay, you're the first ones to ever hear this. Number one, every black child should know how to start a business by the age of 12. They should spend at least a couple hundred hours being trained on entrepreneurship, what that looks like, how to start a business, all the basics, so that when they get older, they will always have an option. They can turn back to those basics when they need them. Think about it. Your kid's going to spend 5,000 hours at football practice, 5,000 hours at cheerleading camp, 5,000 hours at basketball camp. They will never be a professional basketball player. They will never be a professional football player. They will not be a professional cheerleader, but they are going to be a professional black person who has to feed their kids, which means that I believe they should spend as much time learning black economics as they spend learning how to dribble basketballs and throw footballs and do all these other things that we learn how to do. Number two, here's the second rule of the Black Wealth Master Plan. Write this down. Every black child should own shares of stock by the age of 5. By the age of 5, every black child should own shares of stock and someone should be investing for them consistently. This is linked to the original Black Wealth Master Plan, the $5 a day plan. If you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, I explain that. It's very easy to do. It only requires discipline and it requires consistency. If there's discipline, consistency, what you're doing is you're giving your child something more important than a college degree. You're giving them a capital base. If you give them a capital base, then they don't need a job. A person with a capital base does not need to go to work if they don't want to. A person with a capital base does not need to go sell booty in order to pay the rent that month. A person with a capital base doesn't have to go get on his knees and beg for an opportunity. A person with a capital base has freedom. They have that freedom, all that Martin Luther King civil rights stuff that we talked about. That's where the freedom is in America. The freedom in America, it belongs first and foremost to people who have enough money to pay their own bills. It goes back to when you were a little kid. When I was a kid, I used to try to do what I wanted, and my mother would say, "You don't pay no bills in this house. You can't pay your own bills. You do what I say." So as soon as I turned 18, I learned how to pay my own bills. Once I learned how to pay my own bills, they didn't mess with me no more. I did whatever I wanted. I did whatever I wanted. Well, the same thing is true with life. The same thing is true with life. I really, honestly, I'm gonna just sound cynical when I say this. To be honest with you, I've always kind of felt like we're trained to believe that white people are our parents. I really do. I kind of almost feel like the way I feel with the way we're supposed to view other cultures to take care of us. I really feel the same way I felt when I was 16 and I needed my mother and father to pay my bills for me. And I couldn't do anything without their permission or their approval. Their disapproval came with significant consequences. I could not move or wiggle without getting clearance from them. And I feel in society in general, that's kind of where we live. And I don't want to live like that no more. I don't like that. So if you want your child to be free, make sure they're only stopped by the age of 5. Now, here's a little thing I'm gonna have to tell you. This is another piece of truth. But again, I set high standards. Um, 5 years old is really too late too. 5 years old is late. That's like, you know how people are late for retirement planning, they got to double down on their investment. Really, the $5 a day plan works best when you start at birth. It works best when you start before birth. I believe that the more extreme you feel about the pressures that come with economic stress, the more extreme you should also be when it comes to preparing to deal with those pressures. The more painful economic struggle is, the more energy must be put into preparation. So to me, an extreme situation, the racial wealth gap is very extreme. White folks have 10 times more wealth than black people. That's very extreme. Racism on the job that we experience and the trauma of that, the pain of that, that's very extreme. So, in my view, given that the racial wealth gap is extreme, racism on the job is extreme, and all this is very, very painful, then I believe that you have to be equally extreme when it comes to preparing for what's ahead. I don't think that there should be a limitation in how extreme you are to prepare to protect your children and grandchildren from the extreme pain, indignity, suffering, and stress they're going to feel by entering into a competitive economy where they're not prepared. Think about how horrible that feels. How terrible it feels to not have enough for you to feed your children. How terrible it feels to know that if that man pulls the plug on my job, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Think about how painful that is to just know that you could be homeless in 3 or 4 weeks if you lost that job that you have. That's scary. So why am I considered the extremist when I say we should be investing stock and buying stock for our kids before they're born? Because if you invest consistently for those children, even at small amounts of money, just the amount of money you waste on fast food, if you put that same amount in the stock market for your kids will be financially secure. They'll be ready to do whatever they need to do. That's not crazy. That's not extreme. What's crazy to me is walking into the pits of hell and walking into the fire and thinking somehow that it's going to be okay for you. That doesn't make sense to me. So, the second rule is every black child that wants to be prepared should own stock by the age of 5. What's the third rule in the Black Wealth Master Plan? The third rule is that every black child that wants to be prepared, every B1 child, should be prepared to make a down payment on real estate by the time they are 21 years old. By the time they're 21, they should have enough money somewhere, which might come from, I don't know, the $100,000 in stock that their parents have built up because they've been investing for them. They should have enough money somewhere where they can make a down payment on some real estate so they can become a property owner if they choose to. Now, they don't have to buy property at 21. Maybe they'll wait till they're 25. That's okay. But they should be in a position to make that move if that's what they want to do. So, those are the three rules. Really simple. And where do these three rules come from? It comes from the fact that the people that survive and thrive in this economy tend to be people who do three things: people who own businesses, people who own stock, and people who own real estate. The people who get killed in the economy are the people who work for the business owners, the employees, the consumers who buy products from the companies where the stockholders make money, When you go see Black Panther and you spend all your money going to see Black Panther, the Disney shareholders get richer. And then the third group is people who rent from the landlords. So instead of having a culture where we have nothing but employees, consumers, and renters, I prefer to see a culture where we also have just as many people who are employers, investors, and landlords. If you are the employer and the investor and the landlord more than 60, 70% of the time that you enter into the economic system, you're going to win. You're going to be wealthy. You're going to be ahead of everybody else. So ultimately, this is it. This is the master plan. It's very simple. Write down those three rules. Learn how to start a business by the age of 12. Own stock by the age of 5 with consistent investments in more stock. Don't just do it one time. You do it consistently every week. Just like when you buy fast food, just like going to the bathroom, just like eating lunch every day, consistently, 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 consistently. Number three, down payment money by the time they're 21 years old, with the understanding of how to go buy real estate, with the understanding of how to go and buy a piece of property, because that property will increase in value as inflation arrives, as the economy moves forward, as time moves forward. Real estate values tend to go up. You can rarely find any decent community anywhere in America where the cost of property now is cheaper than it was 20 years ago. Those communities rarely exist. So ultimately, this is the master plan. This to me is 100 times better than anything you'll ever get going to college. The flaw of of traditional thinking when it comes to economics is that there are a lot of people who don't start doing anything economically to prepare their children. They don't start at all until the kid is 18 years old. So that means you've wasted 18 years doing nothing financially to put the child ahead. Do you understand how much you can do in 18 years? I mean, do you really understand that if I was to invest, say, let's say I took the same amount of money that I put toward a car note. Let's say my car note's $600 a month, and I put that money in the S&P 500, and let's say I'm just randomly picking stocks. I don't even let's say I don't even know, I don't even know which stock to pick. But I'm just picking in the S&P 500. So I randomly pick an S&P 500 stock every week, and I do that with $600 every month. Do you know that by that in 20 years, in that 20 years that you wasted doing nothing for your kid economically, in those 20 years, I could literally have, what's the number, about three to $400,000 in assets. I mean, why would you throw away three or $400,000 and then throw the kid out there with nothing, struggling, economically naked? It did capitalism is very it's a tough system. It provides a lot of opportunities, but it's very much survival of the fittest. It's very predatory. And typically in America, what you find is that the people that have capital take advantage of the people that don't. The people that have options take advantage of the people that don't have options. That's just the reality. So put your child in a good position. We're not doing that with our kids no more. So this is the Black Wealth Master Plan. I'm going to repeat this 1,000 times, so just get ready, because I believe repetition is the way to sink something into the culture and make it real. Some people aren't going to listen. I don't care about that. I want to talk to those who do, because it's a matter of getting ahead of the problem. You don't solve a problem when you're in it. You don't solve a problem after it's become a problem. You solve problems by preventing the problem. And that's what economic consciousness is all about. That's what manifest. I like that word manifest. That's what manifesting is all about. Economic consciousness pretty much comes down to seeing far ahead. Remember, the example I gave you was if you're in a car and versus being in an airplane. If I'm in an airplane, I can see 100 miles down the road. If I'm in the car, I only see the car right in front of me. A lot of us live in that two-dimensional space where all we can see is next weekend or next week or Drake and Kendrick Lamar or whatever's happening in the world right now. People that have consciousness are in the airplane. They can see what's happening 50 miles ahead. Get ready. Be prepared. So that's in case you ever want to know why we meet every morning at 10 a.m. That's the goal. I want you to be conscious and aware of the economics and understand it and have that vision. If you have the vision, then you're going to succeed. All right. So anyway, before I go, just a reminder, I'm going to do a Q&A for beginners in our Prime program. Prime stands for Passive Recurring Income Machine. That's where we generate income by selling stock options. If you'd like to join, it's not too late to join us for the Q&A. It's going to be for beginners only. We're going to do this in an hour, actually. What is it? It's 11 a.m. Eastern, so we're going to do this at noon Eastern. So if you'd like to join us, just go to drboyceprime.com. It's a great program. It's a money back guarantee if you're not happy, but everyone's happy. It's a great program. Everyone loves it. What else? Also, if you'd like to get some of our Black Wealth apparel, or I don't know, buy a copy of my book or Dr. Anderson's book or our flashcards for children, you can go to drboycebooks.com. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. And thirdly, I want to remind everybody I'm going to do my last live appearance for a while at the Get Money Fest hosted by Jay Ortiz in Philadelphia. And that's going to be on May 18th. And the URL is getmoneyfest.com. And you can actually come for free. So if you live near the Philadelphia area and you want to come and hang out, feel free. They're doing a big financial literacy component with about 20 different speakers on various aspects of business and money and marketing and funding your business, things like that. And then also they're doing art and music and everything else a little bit later. I'll probably head out after that part because I'm not, it's more so for people a little bit younger than me, and I'm not into that type of thing per se. But I will be there for the financial literacy component because I think that the more I see young people embracing this as opposed to embracing the old stuff, the happier I am because I don't believe the old stuff really works. And I think that that's been proven through years of failed policy and everything else. If you go to if you go to drboyceprime.com, you can join Prime and then you can come into the Q&A. So anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great day, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're not on the text list for Money in the Morning, and you'd like to get notified periodically, then just text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. Text morning to 87948. I'll send you guys a notification tomorrow and a reminder. So have a good night or good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.